Teachers, are you tired of juggling scores, calculating averages, and organizing assessment manually? Imagine having one smart, flexible Excel template that handles all your classroom assessment accurately, effortlessly, and in real time. In this video, I'm going to show you how to create a powerful SBA template that will make your assessment process easier, faster, and totally hassle-free. Whether you are tracking class exercises, tests, projects, or exams, this template will be your best assistant. Let's dive in and transform the way you assess your learners. Alright, let's get started. Open your Excel workbook and I'll guide you step by step as we build a clean, automated SBA template, one that does all the hard work so you can focus on teaching. So as you can see here, I have a workbook open. The sheet here is sheet 1, which we are going to change the name and add more sheets down here. So let's start from cell A2 and then put the name there. Here we are going to use CA and then T all abbreviated 1 for class, CAT for class assessment tasks. So this is the first one. We will have the second one and then the third one in cell C2 and then D2. So hover your mouse on this corner, the bottom right corner here, until it changes to this little plus icon. Then click and then drag. So you get the second one and the third one as well. So here let's put the total there, which will put everything here together and then return the answer in cell E2. So in cell F2, let's put our exam score there. Exam score. So in cell G2, let's put 50% of the class assessment task. Sorry. So you can still abbreviate it there, but you can leave it like this. Then on the next one, that is column H. In cell H2, let's put 50% of the exam there. So 50% of the exam. I'm trying to keep it short so the column sizes wouldn't be too much here. Then let's put to another total here. And then position. And after the position, let's do remarks. Sorry. So in column A, under the names, we are going to put some names there. Here we will use some random numbers in column B, C, and then the D for the class tests or the class assessment tasks. Then we will sum everything in column E, and then for column F, we will enter the exam scores there. Then we calculate the 50% of the class score. Here you can choose to do 30% or 70% or 40 instead of the 50. Just that you need to change the formula that we are going to use a little. Then here too we calculate 50% of the exam score, and then we put the total here. That is for the 50% of the exams and then 50% of the class score in column I. And in column J, we use a formula to rank them based on the scores in column I. Then for the remarks too, we will use a formula there. So let's put some names there. So as you can see, we now have some names in column A right under the heading name. So here we can increase, let's change the font to Calibri, and then let's increase the font size to let's say 14 points. Let's bold in it. So Control B for that, or in the font group here, you have the bold here, you come and then click on it. So after this one, let's measure cells B1 to K1 and put the head in there. So here we are going to use the merge and center in the alignment group. We merge and center. And so let's put English language there. Let's hit enter. So that one too, we can select the row, so that because we are going to copy everything that we are doing from column B to K and then paste them in the other columns. So let's increase that one to, we are using the Calibri font type. Let's do 16 for this one. And then again, in the font group, let's just bold that one. Then for the names, let's select everything to, and then change the font type to Calibri, and then the size or the point to 12. After that, let's press Ctrl A to select everything. Then put the cursor in between any of the two columns here where we have the first class assessment task or the remarks. So in between any of them. So I am using the column B and then column C in between here, so the arrow changes to this, and then you double click so that everything in all the columns will fit perfectly correct. Then we are going to use a formula here for the totals of the class assessment tasks. So equal to, let us use sum in parentheses, select everything. So the first class assessment task, and then the second class assessment task, as well as the third class assessment task, and then close parentheses. Hit enter, and then you see that since we do not have anything here in column B, C, and then the D, we are saying 0. So again, we are going to hover the mouse on this bottom right corner until it changes to this little plus icon. Then we click and then drag down. So you are going to drag to the point where you have all the names, or you can extend it to maybe the 100th row, to maybe the 100th row. So as you can see here, we are ending on row 100th. 100, so that in case in future we add more names, then the formula works for everything in the worksheet. So for the exam score here too, we will have to input everything after the examination. So we are going to leave this one for the 50% class assessment task. Let us use the formula to calculate the 50%. I said here you can change it to either 30% or 40% depending on what you are using. So let's do 50%. So 50, and then you put the percent sign there. Then the asterisk for the times. 50% times the total mark here in cell E3. So E3, and you hit enter. Then you select it again. Again, hover your mouse until it changes to this one, to the little plus icon, sorry. then we drag down again to the 100th row. Then for the 50% exams too, we are going to do the same thing. Is equal to 50, then percent. Again, we are going to use the asterisk sign for the times. Then select cell F3, because that is where we are going to start entering the exam score. Then enter, over again, and we drag down. Then let's move to the total here. Here we are going to put the 50% class assessment tasks and then the 50% examination in the columns G and then H together into I. So is equal to here again. Then sum. Select this, then drag to the right until the 2 selects perfectly, or you can input G3 then colon H3 here, then we close parenthesis, enter. Again, we are seeing 0. Now, right now, we can see that we have some formulas working in the adjacent column here, H. So we can just select this one, over our mouse on this, and then double click. It will automatically fill down until it gets to the 100th row. So you don't need to click and then drag again. So for the position, here we are going to use the rank. So equal to rank. The number that we are going to rank is what we have in I3 here, because we are doing it in J3, so then we copy everything down. So, comma, the reference is from the I3 up to I100. So we can put it the I3, then we put the colon there, I100. So when we go down, you can see that everything in that has been selected. Then let's close parenthesis, enter. You can see that right now we do not have any mark here, so the position is 1. Let us again hover our mouse on the bottom right. It changes to this little plus icon. Double click, then everything goes down to the 100th row. So since we do not have any marks in this one yet, everybody is having a first position until we start entering the marks. So for the remarks too, we are going to use the if function in Microsoft Excel. Here we can decide to use the ifs. So when we start typing everything, you can see that we have the ifs, or we have this one to if here. So here it checks whether a condition is met and returns one value if true and another if false. Or here to the ifs is saying that checks whether one or more conditions are met and returns a value corresponding to the first true condition. So you can use any of them, and we are going to see how we can use either the if or the ifs for the remarks. Now before we do the remarks, let's about the position here. Here I want to change it from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to first, second, third, fourth, fifth in that order. So we are going to wrap this formula, that is a rank formula, in another function in Microsoft Excel called the choose function. Now before we wrap it to the choose function, let's use ChatGPT to generate some ordinal numbers from first to 100. So this is what I asked it to do. Generate first second to 100. Put everything in double quotes. So this is what I got. So here are ordinal numbers from first to 100, each in double quotes. So this is what we are going to use. So you just copy here and you go back to the sheet. Then in the rank, we click in cell J3. That's where we are doing the ranking, and that is where we start from. So we come back here and we are going to wrap the rank in the choose function. So choose, open parenthesis, open parenthesis, and then the index number is the rank that we are doing here. Let's put comma there. The values that we need is what we just copied. So let's use the keyboard shortcut Control V to paste everything, and then close the parenthesis, enter, and you can see that it changes from 1 to first. 1 to first. So let's copy down again. You can see that now we have first for all instead of the 1. So let's put this in the center. So select column J, you come to the alignment group, and then you can see that the center is here. So you click on it and everything centers perfectly there. So we are going to do same for everything here so that it can be easy and then beautiful. So as you can see here, everything has been centered perfectly. Now for the remarks, let's use the if function, and then in the subsequent subjects that we are going to use, then we change it to the ifs, and then we see how each of them works. So let's use the if function to do the remarks. So we go to if, open parenthesis. So we will base that on column I, the value is in column I. So if I3 here, that's where we are starting from, then we copy the formula down. So if I3 is greater than 79, then the value, if true, is we put that one in double quotes, advance. Then we put a comma there. So put a comma, then we do another if in parenthesis. The logical test again is if I3 is greater than 74. So let's continue, in the formula bar here so that we can see everything clearly. So let's widen this a bit. So if I3 is greater than 74, then the value, if true, is proficient. So let's put that in double quotes, comma, another if, open parenthesis, I3 again, so we can now even type it. So I3, if I3 is greater than 69, then approaching proficiency. And let's close the quotes there. Another if in parenthesis, if I3 again, so I3 is greater than 64. If I3 is greater than 64, then the value, if true, here is developing. So developing, sorry, let's put that in double quotes. So developing, double quotes like that. So after the developing, then the value if false, now we can use that one. So if none of the conditions here is met, then let's put a comma there for the value if false. Then let's put again in the double quotes, close the parenthesis until you get the black one there. Sorry. So here we need to put a comma here, sorry. So enter. Thank you. Let's copy everything down. You can see that since we have zeros here, everybody automatically is a beginner. So as we start entering values for the class test and then the exercises, the project in the columns B, C, and then D, and then the examination in column F, then everything will be done perfectly. So the calculations and the formulas will start automatically helping us to know the positions and then the appropriate remarks that we need to. Then let's add some conditional formatting here. Now before we add the conditional formatting, let's try and put some random numbers here. So let's use the function round array. The rows that we are using is 100, so let's put 100. Then comma there. The columns, we just need one, the column B, column C, column D, so 3 columns. And then let's put a comma. The minimum value that we are going to use is, let's say 30. And the max, put a comma in the maximum. And the maximum is, let's say 80. So close the parenthesis, enter, everything is calculating here perfectly. So because we are seeing decimals here, we can put this into the round function. Then round the number of digits, let's put a comma here. The number of digits is 0, and close the parenthesis, hit again. So it changes perfectly to the whole numbers. So these are the totals. These are the totals in column E. And then in column F, we are going to put the examination scores there. So nothing is happening there. And then for the 50% class assessment task, you can see that here it is doing the 50%. So what 142, the 50% is 71 in column G. So cell G3, as you can see here, the corresponding, when we click in the formula bar, you can see that here we are referencing the cell E3 here. So the 50% of what is in cell E3 is the 71 that we saw there. But here it is changing because everything we have here is random numbers and it's a scale range. So it will automatically keep changing unless we select everything and Control Shift down, select everything, we copy and click on the first one, right click, and then paste as values so that it will just be there as values, and then they will not keep changing again. So you can see that here in cell E3 we have 180 And then in G3, we are calculating the 50%, so we are seeing 90 there. Now, when we come down here to, let's say, cell G6, as you can see in the name box here, when we hover on this one, you can see name box, so cell G6. Now, you could see that in cell G6, for example, we have a decimal there. If we are interested in the decimals, then we can ignore rounding everything into the whole numbers. But if we are not interested in the decimals, then we need to wrap the formula here in the round function. So let's say round, in parentheses, the number that we are rounding is everything in the cell. So we will maintain the 50% of E3, comma, the number of digits after the decimal points there, we are not interested in it, so 0. And then we put close parentheses there, hit enter, and then everything. So we copy the formula down again. You can use the shortcuts. So you can see that all the numbers here are now whole numbers. So we can put all the other formulas that we are using for the calculation in the round. So here to round, the number again is the 50% of F3, that is the exam score. Then the number of digits should be 0, close parenthesis, enter. Over down here, the bottom right corner, and then fill everything down. Let's do same for the totals too. But because we've rounded everything here, these ones are not definitely not going to have the decimals. So the totals will be there. You can decide to again round that one too, if you like. Round the sum there, no decimal places, and let's fill it down. Now what we are going to do again is cell B3, then go down to cell I100, hold down the shift key, click on that one to select. So let's go to the conditional formatting and add some color schemes. So in the home tab, you can see the styles group here, conditional formatting, click on that one. The color schemes are here. So as you hover on it, you can see the colors of everything there. So you select the desired color. So let's use the first one. Let's use the red, yellow, and then green. So red, yellow, and green. And what the red, the yellow, and then the green is going to do is that it can help us to identify the highest scores in the columns, or there we can even choose the data bars instead of the color scale. So we select B3 again, and we go down to the I100, and then hold down the shift key, click on that one again to select everything. Conditional formatting, the data bars, you can see that here it is adding data bars. So we can delete the first one that we added and use the data bars instead if you like it. So you can come down to manage rules, and you can see that here the first conditional formatting that we did is down here. So we can select it and then delete the rule, then apply, and we go to the conditional formatting again. Let's do the data bars. So you can see that if you do the data bars, the bars will be there to help us identify the highest mark and then the lowest mark in each column. So let's maintain the color scales that we use. So here we are going to add borders to everything that we've done so far. We are not going to repeat everything that we did here. We are just going to copy everything and then we paste in the other columns. So here you can see that the approaching proficiency is in there. So let's hover our mouse in between column K and then L for the cursor to change to this one. So double click for it to fit perfectly. Then let's select everything. So selecting, we can do it this way or we can use the shortcut. Then let's come to the fonts group here. Click on this little drop down. We can do all borders. You can see that everything. So we can do same to the names too. So all borders. Everything is now nicely done. So here you can see that when I scroll, the names to move and then we cannot see the names again. So based on how we are going to structure this worksheet, let's freeze the panes. Let's freeze the panes so that when we are scrolling to the left like this, the names will stay in place, and when we are scrolling to the top too, so that we can see everything, the headers too will stay in place. So click in cell B3, then go to the View tab. In the Windows group here, you can see the freeze panes. Click on that one, then let's use the first one, the freeze panes. We are freezing column A and then the headers as well, so freeze pane. And you can see that now when we scroll, everything, the name stays in place, and when we go down to the headers are there. Now, one thing that we need to do here is that for some of the formulas, we need to change the referencing to absolute and then some to relative. For the sum, we are going to leave everything as a relative reference here. So cell B3 to D3. So when we copy everything to different columns, it will automatically update and then do the sum for the different columns that we are going to use there for the different subjects. And the 50% too, we are leaving it as relative, so that one too, the E3 will do the calculation based on the 50% will be based on the columns that we're going to use. The 50% examination too, let's leave it like that. Then the totals here for the 50% class assessment task and then the 50% examination, let's leave that one too. So for the position, you can see that when we click in the formula bar like this, sorry, let's go into the rank so that one will leave. You can see that the reference, since we are not using the absolutes here, the reference is changing as we go down. So since we went down, it changed and ignored the first row that we are using here. So row 3, it ignored that one. So we need to include that one in the reference. How are we going to do it? It's a row, so row so we are going to make the row absolute. So let's click there again. And making the rule absolute, we are going to leave the number here to be relative, and for the reference we are going to make the rules absolute. So the rules, making it absolute, we're going to put the $sign in front of the numbers. So in between the I and then the 3, let's put the $sign there, and then in between the I and 102, let's put the $sign there again to make the reference rules absolute. Then let's hit enter again, copy the formula down, and you can see that now the reference includes what is in I3. So when we copy the formula down, it doesn't change the reference. If we leave it like that, there will be inconsistencies in the positions, because what we are comparing to is everything in the column I, and we need not to leave some out. So now you can see that what we are referencing is now everything is in place. So we are going to copy everything here. Here we can add some colors to the subject. Let's say for the English language, in the font group here, let's fill that one. So here you can see font color, and then fill color. So we are going to use fill color to drop down here. Let's do this blue for the English language, and it's nice and perfect. So let's select everything, column B. Now before we do this, I saw down here that some of the, okay, so let's delete the numbers down here. That came as a result of the round array formula that we used to populate that one. So Control C to copy everything. So after copying everything, let's move to the right, and then we leave this column L in between the subject. So let's click in cell M1, and then Control V to paste everything. Let's go again and click in cell X1, Control V again to paste it. Cell AI1, Control V again to paste it. Control V again. Then cell BE1, Control V again. Then Control V again in cell BP. I say cell EA there. So ending here, let's go back to the first one. Okay, so the first one, here we are using that for English language. And for this, since we are not going to use it for English language again, let's change that one to a different subject. So you can change those ones to different subjects until you have all the subjects that we are going to use it well before. So mathematics, you can change the fill color to something different. Let's say so feel free to use your desired colors. So let's use the yellow here. So for the other ones, I am not going to change them for. So let's do science. Let's say history. Let's say RME. Then let's say O. Let's say computing here. Let's do creative art. So you can see that we need more. We have English language 1, Maths 2, Science 3, History 4, RME 5, OOP 6, Computing 7, then Creative Arts 8. Let's add one more for Ghanaian language. We'll select everything there. Control C to copy. Cell CL1. Control V to paste everything again. Then let's change the header to Ghanaian language. So you can see that everything is now here nicely. So what we're going to do is that we are going to check if the formulas are referenced in the appropriate columns. So for the total here, you can see that we left it as the relative referencing. So we have M3 to O3. So column M, N, and then O for mathematics. So that one is okay. 50% class assessment tax is working on the P, column P. Then this one, it is also working on column Q. So, and this T, the totals to, is working on the columns R and then X. That is the 50% class assessment task and the 50% class, sorry, 50% examination. So we do not have any problem there. Let's check the position. Okay, that one too is working perfectly. Let's look at the remarks. You can see that that one too is working perfectly. Now let's check the last one and see if everything is working again here. So CL to CL3 to CN3, everything is there. Then this is okay to 50. You click and then you check the cell references. This one too is there. So for this two, we don't have any problem. It means that everything is now set. Everything is now set for us to continue. Now that we have the sheet for the various subjects, so you can be checking. So you can decide to check some of the formulas too in the other subjects and see that and see whether everything is in place perfectly. So if we decide to now enter the values there, everything is going to be done perfectly. Now let's use the ifs in the last subject, that is a Ghanaian language. So go in there, you can use this one. So with the ifs, let's come to the remarks in the last subject. Then delete everything there. Then equal to again. Then ifs, the bracket open. The logical test that we are using again is the total value here in column CS, and we are starting in the cell CS3. So CS3, if the value in cell CS3 is greater than 79, then the value, if true, is advanced. Let's put a comma there. The logical test again that we are going to use is that we are not going to type the if again. We are not going to type the if again. So let's widen this a bit. Then let's come down. Let's add a new line here. So press Alt and then Enter to add a new line. Then you can use the space bar to move forward a little bit. And if again we are using the CS3, so CS3 is greater than, so we are not typing the if again. That is the ifs. So CS3 is greater than 74. Then we need the proficient. So proficient like that. Then the comma again. Add a new line. Alt Enter. Then the CS3 again. If that CS3 is greater than 69, then the value that we want to return is the approaching proficiency. Approaching proficiency. Let's put that in double quotes again, then comma. Alt Enter again to add a new line. Let's move forward a little bit. Then if CS3 again is greater than 64, then what we need is developing. Then comma again, Alt Enter to add a new line. And if CS3 is, if it is less than, so anything less than 65 is, let's put the comma here, is beginning. And close it. Let's close the parenthesis. So you can see that we found a typo in your formula and tried to correct 2. So here the correction that we are accepting is the more parentheses for formula. So let's click on yes, and then everything is working perfectly here for the ifs. So we copy the formula down again, and you can see that everything there is working the same as what we did earlier. So let's have 3 more columns here for the beauty of the report sheet that we are going to use. So here, let's add another heading, let's say overall. Then here, let's add another position. We're going to do some calculations here again. And then let's say attendance. You want to keep it simple so that you can use it for everything. So overall here, the attendance, we are not using this workbook to let's bring this down a bit. So we are not using this workbook to track attendance also. So we are going to enter the attendance manually here. If we have a sheet that we are using to track the attendance, then we can use the XLOOKUP or the VLOOKUP to return the attendance here, but we are not using the workbook for the attendance. So here the overall. For the overall, we are going to calculate the totals and then know the raw score for everything that the learner did in the. So let's put the sum function there, sum. Then first number, let's scroll to The first subject, English language. So the total here is this one. Let's put a comma. And let's move to mathematics. Then the mathematics, the total, that's the sum of the class assessment task, and then the sum of the examination is in T. So let's select that one, two, another comma. Let's do same for science. AE3, comma. Let's do same for the history. AP3. Let's select that one, two, and comma. Then we have for the RME, we have BA3. Let's select that one, two, comma. Then for the OOP BL3, so let's select that one, two, another comma. Then computing EW3, select that one, comma. And for creative art, click on the CA3, comma. And then the Ghanaian language, CS3. Then we close parenthesis, enter. You can see that here that's calculated, and we now know that for the first learner in the classroom, his overall score is 810. So again, we can center everything by selecting this column, hold down the shift key, and then CY to select everything. Then let's center everything here using the alignment group. So that one too is there nicely. Let's copy the formula down. That to row 100. Nicely there. So for the position, we are not going to type the formula all over again. We are just going to copy what we have here for the Ghanaian language. So click on the cell CT3 and click in the formula bar. Control A to select everything. Control C to copy. And then enter. If we do not hit enter and then we click anywhere in the other cells, everything in the formula bar is going to change to the cell name. So enter, then the position, let's come here, click in cell CX3, go into the formula bar again, then Control V to paste. Now you can see that it is referencing what is in column CS, starting from CS3 down to the 100th row. So let's widen this a little bit. Widen it up. Now we can see the rank here, what we are referencing. So we are going to change to reference the column CW, what is in there starting from CW3 to CW100. So here we can just delete the S. So click in there, delete the S and W. And you can see that since we changed that one, it is now referencing the CW as for the number. So for the reference, let's change the S to W again, and then this S2 to W. And you can see that now the formula is going to work on column CW3 to CW100. We go down and see that it is ending there perfectly. So enter 21st. Let's select the first one. So let's copy down again. And so when you hover your mouse on that one to change to that little plus icon, then you double click for it to go down nicely. So here too, we can apply the conditional formatting to the overall scores. Let's go to conditional formatting in the styles group in the home tab. The color scales. So here you can do the data bars too if you like. You can see everything there. So let us do the color scales. You can see that the first person is this learner, but we do not have any name there. We use a random number, so if we have a name there, then the name of the person is going to be in cell A4. So we can have the attendance to in this column to return on the report sheet. So we are done with the first sheet. So let's change the name of this sheet to, let's say, so you can right click on it, then rename, let's say basic 6, enter, and then it names perfectly there. You can change it to class, or let's say SBA or whatever. That's basic 6, or you can change it to basic 5, basic 4, basic 1, and then that will be it. So let's add another sheet. Come down here by clicking on new sheet, the plus icon here, new sheet. So we are going to use this for the broadsheet, so let's rename it to broadsheet. You can double click on the name for it to select everything, and then you delete, then you type broadsheet, or you can come right click in it and then you go to rename, then you rename it to broadsheet. So we are going to start in cell A2. So A2 we will use the equal to. So after typing the equal to, let's click on the previous sheet, and you can see that the name of the sheet has been put there perfectly. Then A3, enter, and you can see that we are returning the name of the learner there. Let's copy down by hovering the mouse on the bottom right corner here. So it changes to that little plus icon. So we click, then drag down up to, so there we are using the 100th row, so you can end here. You can see that it is returning zeros for those empty cells. You can choose to return empty instead of the zeros by putting or wrapping everything here in the if function and saying that if everything here is equal to 0, then we prefer empty instead. And if it is true, then the formula that we are using should work. So let us wrap the formula in the if function. Click in cell A2 in the formula bar. Let's copy everything there without copying the equal to. So Control C to copy. After selecting, enter. Then let's go back again. And wrap it in the if function. So if, open parenthesis, this logical test here is equal to 0, then let's put a comma there. The cell should be empty. So the empty, put double quotes without a space between them there. And then comma. If it is false, then let's paste what we copied earlier. Then let's close parenthesis, enter. Then we copy the formula down again. You can see that now the zeros are not there. So to make it nice and then beautiful. So let's put a name here. Then here we are going to have the subjects. So the subjects, we are going to use the same approach. Equal to, then let's click on the basic 6, 86. Then what we are returning is the totals only for the broadsheet. So the English language, we can find that in I3. So I3 here, enter. You can see that we are getting the 90 here. So when we go back to the basic 6, you can see that here the I3 is 90. That is the total for the first person there. So let's go back and then copy the formula down. Copy it down up to the 100th. So we can center it. So let's name this one English. Now here what we are going to do is to just copy it across here and then change the references. So let's wrap it in the if function to ignore the zeros here, because here if we do not have names there, we are not going to enter anything for those people, so it's going to be zeros. So let's wrap it in the if function. Let's copy everything again. C. We'll select everything and then Control C to copy. Hit enter. Go back again. Then if, open parenthesis, this is equal to 0, then comma, we return empty there. The value if false is what we copied. So Control V again, close parenthesis, enter. And let's copy it down. Then let's click in cell B2 and then copy it across to J2. And let's change the references. So copying to J2. We are going to change the references. We're going to change the references. So let's change what we have in the formula to T. So click in cell C2, then let's change this to T3. So T3, and then this one to T3. Enter, and then everything is working perfectly. So for the third subject, is science. So science, we have it, the totals in AE. So we are going to change D2, the references, we are changing it to AE. Then the key here too, let's change it to AE. Copy it down again. Let's do same to the fourth one. So here let's name it science. Let's change this one, the fourth one, to history. It's in AP. So AP3. So here is 3. AP3. So enter. Let's copy it down again. The next subject is RME, that is in BA. So BA3. BA. So let's change that to BA. Enter again. Everything down. It's RME. Then the next subject is OWOP. So let's do it for OWOP. And it's in BL3. So BL, let's change the N here to BL, then enter. Let's put the work here. RME2, let's put the abbreviations there. We have computing. Computing is in BW. BW. Let's change the O here to BW. Let's copy it down to. Then for the next one, it's creative art. So CH3. Let's change this one to CH3. Enter. Copy down again. So we can type art. Then let's do same for the Ghanaian language. It's in CS, so CS3. And let's change that one to CS3. Enter again. The marks are the same on each row because of the random numbers that we used. So that is it. D2 to J2. We are changing the alignment of the headers. So in the alignment group here, you can see that we have this orientation. So let's click on the little drop down and then rotate the text up. Rotate the text up, and you can see that it fits perfectly there. So let's increase the font size of it and even change the font to a different one. So click in cell A1 and then scroll down to the J99 here. You can click on that one. And then the font group, let's change to Calibri and let's do 14. Then let's add some borders and select everything again. Then the borders, just as we did for the first one. Let's do the borders there. We can again even use conditional formatting for that, but we want to keep it simple. So that is it for the broadsheet. So here we need to return the total score and then the position in the class tree. So let's copy the formula. 2 more. Here, let's put the total score. And then the position. So let's check the columns. So we have column CW and then column CX for the overall and then the position. Do the broadsheet again. CW3, that one. then CX, enter. Sorry, so this one should be CW again. Copy down and everything is working perfectly there. Then let's change for the position to CX. So now we have the broadsheet nicely here. So let's select everything, then center them for it to be nice. Now we can put this in a table and then make it in such a way that we can easily sort based on the total scores here. So click anywhere in it, then press Ctrl T to insert the table. You can see here that the table has headers too, so we need to take this one. As it has already been done, we are going to leave it. Then we click OK, and you can see that everything is now in the table nicely for us. So we can change the table styles. So the table design here, then the table styles, you can change it to a different one. So play around and choose the one that you like. So when you are done with everything and you start using it, you can use this filter button to sort from largest to smallest or smallest to largest. So when you click on it, you see sort smallest to largest or largest to smallest. So that is it for the broadsheet. So that is it for the sheet that we are going to use for the assessment, that is entering the class tests and then the examination scores as well as our exercises and then the projects. So for the various subjects, we have English language, mathematics, science, history, RME, work, computing, creative arts, Ghanaian language, and then the others. We also have our broadsheet here nicely, and we can sort using the filter buttons and the headers, and easily use it to assess our learners in the classroom. So this will be the first part of the video, and in the second part we are going to work on the report sheet and how we can automate that one for it to print into the various PDFs for us. So kindly subscribe to the channel and then hit the bell icon. Alright, so let's continue with the third part of the video by creating the report sheet. But before we do that, let's work on this cell A1 here a little bit. So I want to put the subject and name here. So let's come to the alignment group here. Let's come to the alignment settings here. Click on it. Then let's go to the border. And on the border, let's add a diagonal border here. Click OK. And here you can see that we now have a diagonal border. So in the formula bar, we are going to add subject to this one and push the name a bit to the center. So let's put the cursor for the name. type subject, and we are going to push the name to be below the subject, so we are adding a new line here. Alt enter for the name to come down, enter again, and you can see that we now have the subject and the name. So we are going to center it and then push it up a bit like this. Let's widen the formula bar, and we are going to again push it down. Alt enter. Let's do alt enter again. Then push the subject forward using the space. Okay. So we have the subject here and then the name all in the same cell. So let's add another sheet tab. So click on the plus icon here to add a new sheet. Let's bring this down. And let's rename this one to report. So in this sheet, we are going to set the area for the report sheet. But before that, merge some of the cells. So let's merge this range. Sorry. So merge and center this one. Let's put Ghana Education Service. Enter. Again, let's merge this range too and center it. Let's put the school name there. So here you are going to type the name of the school. Let's again merge these two to this point. So the range we are using, merge and center again. Let's put end of, let's say, third term examination. End of third term examination. Let's measure this one too. And then center it like that. We will merge it and center it. And let's put fairness report. So here, let's leave this one and put name in cell A10. Name. Enter. So let's align that one to the right, and let's merge this one to from B10 to F10, and then center it. Let's add a bottom border. Then, so here we can select everything and then increase the font size and change it to, so let's say Calibri, let's say 18. Let's center that one, push it up a bit. So the first one that we did, the Ghana Education Service, exceeds the I, so we need to correct that one. So let's merge and center that one, and let's select again up to I, and then merge and center nicely. We can also select this one, then add a bottom border to separate everything up there from the report. So a thick bottom border like this one will do. So we have the name here. We are going to return the names. So returning the names, let's go to the data tab, add a data validation. So we are not going to do any value. Let's change that one to list. The source, let's go to basic 6 and then select all the names that we have there. So we can select down everything to row 100, then click OK. So here when we come, then click on this one, you can see that the names can be returned down here nicely. So in G10, let's put the class there, class, and let's merge the last two, that is H10 and I10, and center everything there. So here we are going to put the class, put basic 6, basic 5, or any other class. So let's add a bottom border to that one too. Let's merge A12 and B12 and put a number on row there. Number on row. Let's go back to it. Number on row. In C12, let's add a bottom border. Let's again merge E12, F12, and G12 like this. And put position in class there. So these ones, you can select everything by holding down the control key and then right. And it's like that. The position in class, let's merge these two. So the position in class here, let's add a bottom border again. Nice one. Let's merge A and B14 like this and put the academic here. That one too is there. Let us merge C14, D14, and then E14. Let's add a bottom border to that one too. So here we are going to enter the academic year, let's say 2024, 2025. So in cell G14, let's put term there. Sorry. Let's merge H14 and then I14. Let's add a bottom border. And let's merge A16 and B16 here. And let's put when school reopen, that is the next term begins. Then let's merge C16, D16, and then E16. Let's add a bottom border to that one too. So here we can add the dates. Let's say 10th September. Sorry. 2025. So let's change this one to a different date format. Let's come to long date, 10 September 2025 there. Let's also merge F16 and G16 and put vacation date there. Let's merge the last two, H16 and I16 at the bottom border. So let's put the dates there. Let's say 30th July 2025. Let's change the date format to the long dates. Let's merge A18, B18, and C18. Put subject there. In D18, let's put class score. Let's put into bracket 50%. And in E18, let's put exam score there. Let's put in parentheses 50%. Enter again. Then in F18, let's put total score there. Here 100%. Let's put position in G18. Let's merge the last two, that is H18 and I18, and put remarks there. Let's select everything in row 18 and wrap the text nicely here. Let's center it. Let's middle align it here. Let's merge A, B, C19, and let's fill down to row 27 like that. And let's put the subject here. We need to put them according to how we've arranged everything here. You can also change the order, but for our referencing, then you need to know where you pick the values. So let's start here with the English language. English language, mathematics was the second. We had science. And for the fourth one, we have science here, history. We have RME, OOP, RME. We have OOP. And we have computing, creative arts, and then Ghana language. We have computing. We have creative arts. We have Ghanaian language. So let's align this one. Let's add all this. So let's change the font to Times New Roman. Let's select A to I, Times New Roman. Nicely like that. We will adjust the width of the columns later. So let's do 16 for this one. And let's change this one to 14. Let's reduce the size of those ones. Let's do the same to the school name too. Then let's do the same for the learner's report. All right. Let us change the font size of the subject names to 14. Let's merge A29 and B29 and put attendance there. Let's add a bottom border to C29. C29 bottom border there. Then in D29, let's put out of. In P28, let's add a bottom border. Let's merge F29 G29 and put promoted to. So promoted to. Let's merge H29 and I29 and add a bottom border. Let's merge A31 and B31. Put attitude there. Then let's merge everything after that to I31. Add a bottom border. Let's merge A33 and B33 and put conduct there. Let's merge everything after that to I33. Let's add a bottom border. Let's merge A35 and B35. Put interest there. Then let's merge C35 to I35. Let's add a bottom border. Let's merge A37, B37, C37. Put class teachers remarks. Or you can put teachers remarks. Then let's merge everything over that. Add a bottom border. So let's merge A39, B39, C39. And put head teachers signature. Let's merge everything after that. Add a bottom border. So here you can add more. Depending on how you want your report to look like. Then let's go back to. Then let's increase the font size of everything here to 12. And down here to increase. And down here to let's increase the font size to 12. Nice. So we are almost done with everything. Let's increase the width of some of the columns to make everything visible. So let's increase this one a bit again. Let's increase this one to width. So let's add a thick outside border to all the four sides and see how it's going to look when we print it. So you can press Ctrl P to see. Okay, so everything is here. You can see that here some of the parts are not showing, so we can change the scaling down here to fit sheet on one page, and you can see that everything is now showing nicely there. So this part will return the names there. You can select, or you can just start typing the name, and when it comes we enter it like that. For the number of rows, we are going to put it there. So let's say we have 70. The position in class, we are going to use a formula to return that. The class, we will type it. The academic here too, we will type everything here. The term too, let's type 3 there. Now let's select all the subjects, then increase the row height. So this is okay. So Control P to print and see how it's going to look. So this is it. Let's widen the position to a little bit here. Okay. So let's start using the formulas to return everything on the report sheet. So we've done the name. So position in class. We are going to use X lookup function here. So let's start using the X lookup function to help us, or we can use a VLOOKUP too to help us return everything that we have on the assessment sheet. So the position in class, let's come to the formula bar equal to X lookup. The lookup value is the name, so select the name, comma. The lookup array, that is the next argument, so it is where we are looking up the name, is 6. Then let's select all the names there, another comma. The return array is the position, so select CX3 and to CX100, comma there, if not found. That is the next argument here, if not found. Let's put no match in double quotes. Then comma. Let's do exact match. So select the first one, then close parenthesis, enter. Now you can see that here we have 73rd for this person, so we can check and see if that person is 73rd. So here you can see the name in row 32. You can see that the position is 73rd. If you change the name on the report sheet or select a different name, the position is going to automatically change. So let's do that and see. Let's change to this person, and you can see that it has changed from 73rd to 58th. Now let's come to the subjects, the English language. We are going to use the same function, the X lookup. Let's double click here. The lookup value is still the name, so comma. The lookup array is still the names that we selected. Then let's do comma again. The return array is the class score, the 50% class score. So let's select from G3 to G100. Then, if not found, again let's put in double quotes, no match. Let's put comma there, exact match. Let's close parenthesis, enter. You can see that we have 79 here. So 79. Let's check and see if this person had 79 as a 50% exam score. As a 50% class score for English language. So here this is person. So you can see that here we have 79 there. 79. So 79 because of the values that we are using. So if you change everything automatically changes. So let's increase the font size a bit to, let's say, 18 and center it nicely there. So let's do for the exam score. So again, equal to X lookup. The name is what we are looking up, comma, basic 6 here for all the names. Then comma, our return array, which is a 50% exam score here. Then comma, if not found, let's put in double quote, no match, comma, exact match 0, close parenthesis, enter. So we have 0 there. So you can see that for the exams we did not enter anything in that column, so we will have zeros for that. Then the total score to, let's do X lookup. The X lookup, the name is what we are looking up, comma, the lookup array still what we have here. Let's put comma. So the return array is the 100% of the total. Then let's put a comma. If not found, no match. Then comma 0, close parenthesis, enter. You see that we have that one too. So let us do same for the position. Again, equal to X lookup. Our lookup value again is the name. The lookup array is all the names on the basic 6 sheet tab. Then the return array is the position. So J3 to J100. If not found, double quotes, no match. Then let's do exact match. So 0, close parenthesis, enter. And you can see that they also have the, and for the remarks too, let's do X lookup. Then we can use a V lookup too. So X lookup. The lookup value is the name. Let's put comma. The array is the names here. So select the first one, scroll down, hold down the shift key, select the last one. Let's put comma there. The return array is the remarks for English language. So let's select this. Let's scroll down, hold down the shift key and select the last one. Let's put comma there. If not found, let's put no match in double quotes. Let's put a comma, 0 for exact match, enter, and we are proficient. So here we will merge the H19 and then I19 for it to fit. So we are going to do that for mathematics and then the other subject. But here we are not going to type everything all over again because of the pattern that we've given it here. Excel does the magic of just guessing the references based on the first pattern. So we need to just do for the class score and then we fill the formula across here. But before that, we need to make some of the references absolute so that when we fill across, we are not going to have any problem. So this one, putting the $ in front of the letter and then in front of the number. But on your keyboard, you can press here F4 to do that for you. Then let's do same for our lookup array. So F4 again to make everything absolute. For the return array, we are going to leave everything like that. So let's do same for the other columns too. Press in it, that is the lookup value, then F4 on your keyboard to make it absolute. Here let's select everything, F4 again. But for the return array, we are going to leave it like that. Let's do same to our totals too. Let's make everything the absolute. So let's do for mathematics only the class score and then fill the formula across. So equal to X lookup. The lookup value is the name that we will select here. Then the lookup array is the names we have on the assessment sheet. We have named that one 86. So the return array we are doing for mathematics, so the return array is R3 to R100. Let's put a comma there. If not found, let's put no match in double quotes, comma. Let's do exact match, 0. Hit enter. And you can see that we now have everything. So let's make this absolute referencing. This one to absolute referencing. Then let's leave the return array because as we fill across, it is going to change the referencing. So we see that we are starting from R for the class score. So enter. Let's come back again. Let's fill everything across. You can see that here. You can see that here in the first column here, that is column D. The return array is R3 to R100. The second one is S3 to S100. Here we have T, then this one U, and then V. So we can check and see if that is working, then we continue for the other ones. To basic 6, you can see that the 50% for mathematics is in column R. The 50% exams is S, then T, U, and then V. So it is working perfectly. Let's do that for the other subjects. So mathematics here equal to, so science equal to X lookup. The lookup value still is this one. So we can make it absolute right here by just pressing the F4, comma. then is the 6. Let's make it absolute 2, comma. The return array, first one is AC, so let's select this one, AC3 to AC100, and let's close parenthesis. If not found, let's put no match in double quotes here, comma, 0 for exact match, enter. Then let's fill across again, and let's check. So we have AC here, AD, then AE, AF, AG. So that one too is working. So history. So let's do same for the next subject, that is history. We go to XLOOKUP. The lookup value is the name. Let's make it absolute, comma. Then comma again. The return array is this one. So AN3 to AN100. Let's put a comma there. If not found, let's put no match in double quotes. Then let's put a comma here, 0 for exact match, close parenthesis. Let's make this one absolute, and enter. Let's fill it across. Let's do for RMA, go to XLOOKUP. The lookup value is the name. Let's make it absolute, comma. The lookup array is the names here. Let's make that one to absolute, comma. The return array is AY3 to AY100. Let's put a comma there. If not found, then no match in double quotes, comma, 0, enter. Then let's fill it across again. Let's do same for the next subject. Then the lookup value is the name. Let's make that one absolute. The lookup array then let's make that one to absolute. The return array is this to comma. If not found, let's put no match again in double quotes, comma, 0, close parenthesis, enter. Let's fill across. And let's do for computing. A lookup value, the name. Let's make it absolute, comma. Lookup array is everything in A100. Then let's make it absolute, comma. The return array is EU3 to EU100. Let's put a comma there. If not found, in double quotes, no match. Then comma 0 0 for exact match. Enter. Let's put equal to let's look up. The lookup value is still the name. Let's make it absolute. Yeah. Let's put a comma there. The lookup array is A3 to A100, comma, the return array. We are doing for creative art, so the return array is this. Let's put a comma there. If not found, no match. Double quotes, comma 0 for exact match. Enter. Let's fill it across Ghanaian language to equal to X. Lookup. Then the lookup value is the name. Let's make it absolute, comma. Then lookup array A3 base6 sheet tab to A100. Let's make that one to absolute, comma. If the return array is CQ3, CQ3 to CQ100. Let's put a comma there. If not found, no match. If not found, no match in double quotes. So no match. Then exact match. Close parenthesis, enter. Let's fill across again. Then let's merge H19 and then I19 and do something here. Let's copy what we just did to H19 and then I19 by using the format painter here. Click on it, then you click and hold in H20, then move it across to I20 and then bring everything down to row 27. And you can see that everything has been merged nicely. So here let's reduce the size of the font to 16, let's say 14, and see. You can wrap the text so that everything can fit in perfectly. Let's increase the width a little bit, and so let's increase the height of the rows here to a little bit to make everything nice. And let's change the name to a different person and see what will happen. You can see that this is 33rd, and it has changed to advanced for this one. Let's change the name again. You see it developing. This approaching proficiency is fitting perfectly into the cells that we merged here, so we do not have any problem about that again. So that is it. Now let's center this one here too. Everything is centered nicely. So let's move this one to the right. So you can look through and then see if there is something that we need to do there. Then you do everything, guys, aligning everything perfectly. So now we are done with. So for the attendance, we said that we are going to enter everything manually. So let's use the X lookup to also bring that value here on the report sheet. So equal to X lookup. Our lookup value still remains the name. Let's make it absolute, comma. Lookup array is A3 to A100 on the sheet that we've named basic 6. Let's make that one to absolute by pressing F4, then comma. The return array is what we will put here. So CY3 to CY100. So shift, then this one. Let's put a comma there. If not found, no match. Again in double quotes. Comma 0. Let's close parenthesis, enter. Now we have 0 here because we've not put anything there. So let's enter that. Okay. So the out of 2, we will put the value there after closing our registers. So if it is 80, then let's put 80 there. Let's enter that one too. Now for the promotion 2, let's use another column there on the basis 6 sheet. So let's put promotion here. Then here, let's use the data validation. Let's go to the data tab and then add a drop down there. So list, and the list. On the list here, we can put just promoted and then comma, let's say repeated. If we are not going to use the promoted to, then if the person is in basic 1 or basic 2 or basic 3 or basic 4 to basic 5, then we need to change this one to the class the person is moving to. So let's do basic 7 here since we are doing for basic 6. So enter, and here when we come, we can select to basic 7. So when you move this to the names, you can know that whether you are promoting the person or not. So let's enter that one. Here we are doing this because we are not going to use any formula or range. If we are using the ranges, then we can do that using a formula. But here we are just using a single sheet. So let's say basis 7. So let's fill down to row 100. And here you can just select everything. Then the moment we select it, it will automatically be returned. So let's do for one person here, and then select the person's name and see if it's going to work. So let's do for this, the basis 7 here, and here let's put x lookup here. So x lookup, our lookup value is still the person's name. Let's make it absolute, comma, the lookup array let's make that one to absolute, then comma again. The return array is from CZ3 to CZ100. Let's put comma there. Then if not found, let's say no match, double quotes. Then let's do exact match with 0. Let's close parenthesis, enter. And you can see that basis 7 automatically returns the 93. So if you change the person's name to, let's say, this person, you can see that here we have 0. We have 0. And for the 0 2, we can return empty instead of the 0 by putting everything we have here in the if function and saying if it is equal to 0, then we need the empty, just like we did on the broadsheet. And if it is true, then everything here should work. So let's do that one. Do a comma. So let's copy everything there without the equal to, and Control C to copy. Let's hit enter, and let's go there again. Let's wrap it in the if function. So if this everything there is equal to 0, then the value should be empty. So double quotes without a space between them, comma. If it is false, then let's space what we copied. So Control V to paste and close parenthesis, enter. You can see that here we do not have the 0 there. So when we change back to this person, you can see that we have the basic 7. Now for the attitude, we can do what we just did for the promotion. Then the conduct too, we can do that, and then we can do same for the interest. And then the class teacher's remark too, we can just leave it and write, or we can also do something about that and then leave the head teacher's signature, and we are almost done. So that will be all. So for the attitude too, let's go to the Basic 6, sheet tab. Then here, let's add attitude. Let's do for conduct and interest. Everything that we are doing here, we can set up another sheet for that, but we can just add everything to this one so that working on it will be easier and then straightforward. So for the attitude, the conduct, and the interest, so we can do just what we did for the promotion here, and again automatically return everything that we will do on the sheet tab named basic 6. So the attitude, conduct, interest. Let's add another sheet. So I already have one here that I am going to paste. Control C to copy. Then let's paste everything there. So we are going to use this on the reports here. Before we do that, let's rename the sheet to, let's say, attitude. Let's use ATT for that, and conduct, and the interest, in order for the sheet name not to be longer. So let's go back to, so after everything, we can even decide to hide this sheet. So let's go to the sheet tab named basic 6. So for the attitude, let's use the data validation to add a drop down there that we are going to select. Let's use this, our source. Let's select the sheet that we just created. So that is the attitude. So let's select everything here. You can go down a little bit if you are going to add more. Then okay, you can see that here we have them. So when we select, we will not worry to resize, or you can still resize it. So we can select this one, let's say eagerness to ask and answer questions. Let's do same for conduct. So data validation here, list, attitude, and the source here. So the conduct too, let's select something for that. The interest too, let's do same. Sorry. And let's select something for the interest too. You can copy the data validation down. And let's copy this one to 100. So it is filling down with what we selected, so we can delete everything. Let's do the same for the attitude. So that is it for the attitude, the conduct, and then the interest. So let's select something for this person. Let's say initiative, completing task in time. Then the conduct, let's again select something. And the interest, let's select something there. Then let's go back to the reports. Let's again use the XLOOKUP to bring that. So we go to XLOOKUP. So XLOOKUP here. Our lookup value is still the name. Let's make that absolute, comma. Then the lookup array, it's the name we have on the basis 6 sheet tab. And let's select everything. Let's make it absolute again. Then, comma, a return array. Since we are doing for attitude, let's start from a, then comma, if not found, no match in pair. If not found, then no match in double quotes. Yeah. Then comma, exact match, 0 for that. Close parenthesis, enter. And you can see that everything is working perfectly here. So we can increase the font size a little bit to, let's say, 14. Then let's do the same for the conduct and the interest. So again, XLOOKUP. The lookup value is the name. Let's make that absolute, comma. The lookup array is still the names. And let's make that absolute, comma. The return array is everything we have in DB3 to DB100. So let's select that one. Let's put comma there. If not found, let's do no match. And comma, 0 for exact match. Close parenthesis, enter. And you can see that here too we have participating in class without disruption. So participating in class without disruption for the conduct. And let's do for the interest. The interest, again, XLOOKUP. So we go to XLOOKUP. So after this, everything will be done nicely without we worrying about any other thing. So XLOOKUP. The lookup value is still the name. Let's make it absolute again, comma. Then the lookup array is the names on the sheet 86. So let's hold down the shift key, select everything there, make it absolute again. Then the return array is the interest, so DC3 to DC100. Hold down the shift key, select everything. DC3. So let's change that to 3 and comma. If not found, let's put that in no if not found, let's put no match in double quote for that. Exact match, close parenthesis, and you can see that that one too. So let's increase the font size. So for the class teachers remarks too, you can use the same approach for that one. Then, all right, let us now finish everything by adding the macro that will automatically generate the report for all the learners and then print them or save them as PDFs instead of we manually changing the names one after the other and printing for every learner. The macro can generate all the reports and then save them as PDFs for us. So we are going to add that one. But down here you can see that we have some zeros. We can again wrap them in the if function to ignore the zeros and then return empty instead of the zeros. So let's do that and then add the macro, and that will be all for the step-by-step guide on how we can create a simple SBA template for our class assessment. So for the attendance, let's copy everything in the formula bar without the equal to sign. So Control C to copy, enter. Then let's go to that again, and then let's wrap it in the if function. Say that if this is equal to 0, comma, double quotes without space between them. Then if it is false, let's paste what we copied, Control V, then close parenthesis, enter. Now the 0 is not there. Let's do the same for the attitude and conduct. Let's copy. If this is equal to 0, comma, and comma again, let's paste, close parenthesis, enter. Let's do the same for this one. Close parenthesis, enter. For the interest to, let's do the same, so that if you've not selected anything for that one, we will not see the zeros. So if this is equal to 0, comma, goes there without space between them, then let's paste, enter, and then now everything is okay here. So I am going to add a few resources to what I have here, and with the idea you can, so I am going to add a few resources here, and with the idea you can create it to suit your own styles. So I am going to add a few resources to this for the macro and also put the logo there. So I have that in my clipboard. So this one, now we can move it to the report like this. Then again, Let's add this one. Let's add this one also. Then let's position this one here. You can use shapes for that, so you can even use the insert and then illustrations here. You can say shapes, then you draw a simple rectangle here, and then you can put a text on it, like click to save or reports. Let's increase the font size a bit. Let's enter it like this one. So even with this one, you can use it to run the macro, but I prefer this too, so you can change it to whatever that you like. You can even use your picture there or anything. Let's delete this one. Now the VBA that we are going to use, I'll put it in the comment section there for you to copy and then paste into the workbook. But before we start, let's save the file as a macro enabled workbook so that it can save the file together with the macros. So let's say file save as, then let's change the file type to macro enabled, and let's say now let's copy and then paste the VBA code. But before that, let's add the developer to your tabs if you do not have that one. So right click on the tab, go to customize ribbon, and if you do not have it there, then we change this one to all tabs, and down here you have developer, so you click on it and then you add. You use this one to add to your tabs. So let's go to developer here, then Visual Basic. You can also use a shortcut to do that. So now let's insert a module. So I am going to paste the code here and then save. So Control V to paste. After copying, you copy everything, then you paste. Control E to select everything, and then you paste. So I'll share the code in the comment section. Then press Control S to save, and let's close this one. We are not going to run right now. Then depending on what you want to use to run the code, here I'm going to share two codes. The first one that we copied, save all of them as individual files. Then the next one, which is the second code, will save everything into a single file. So any of them that you like, you can use. So I am going to use the second one here to run the first code that I just pasted. So you click on that and then you right click, then you come to assign macro. Then as you can see that save report cards as PDF is here. You click on that one and then okay. So you click away and then you come back to that. Now you can see that when I overrun it, the plus changes to what you have there. And then you can see that this one, because we are not using it to run the macro now, when you hover on it, it doesn't change to the icon that we have here. So this one now has the macro. So when we click on it, it will start automatically generating the reports and then saving them as PDF. But before that, let us select everything again. That is the report. Then go to page layout, print area, and then set print area here, so that when we print, it is not going to add what we put here to run the macros. So now we can click on this one, and as you can see, it is automatically generating all the reports and then saving them as PDF. So the names are automatically changing from one to the other. As it does that, it is saving all of them as PDFs. So here we are not doing anything. And one thing about it is that it saves everything in a folder on your desktop. So the folder too is automatically created. And when it is done, as you can see, all report cards saved as PDF in the user desktop report card. So let's click OK. Then let's go to the desktop and then find out. So you can see that everything has been generated, and then we have everything in this folder. So let's check this one, and you can see that here we have everything saved for us. So as I said, with the idea, you can design the report to suit your style. You can add everything or anything that you like. So let's close this one. Now we are going to add a second code that we will use the first icon here or the first image to run that one. So again, let's go to the developer tab, the Visual Basic. You can use the shortcut key to do that. Alt F11 to open that one. Then let's insert a module again and then paste what we are going to use. So you can see that here, save all report cards as one PDF. Go and Control S to save. Let us close this one too. And then right click on this assign macro. Then let's select the first one. Save all report cards as one PDF. The second one is what we've used for the other one. So let's select this one. Okay. And now when you hover on it, you can click, and then it also generates all the reports and save everything into a single PDF file. So click, and you can see that that one too is automatically generating everything for us and then saving them as PDF. So in less than 2 or 3 minutes, everything will be generated and then saved for us nicely. I will again do another video on how you can put the learner's image on the reports, so that as it is generating, the images will be changing and everything will be working perfectly. So all report cards saved in one PDF at, again, we have the desktop for that. So we are not going to create any folder or do anything. You just copy and paste the macro, assign it to the button or the image or whatever you are going to use to run it, and that will be all. So go back here, you can see that we have everything still there. Let's check the desktop. So single PDF file. When you click on this one, you can see that everything is now in a single PDF file, that when we scroll down, you can see all of them. So everything is here nicely for us. So in the comment section, if you need the template, you can let me know, so I'll send it to you. Thank you so much for watching the video. Kindly subscribe to the channel and like, and then share it to other people. Thank you, and God bless you.